When I was thinking about insurance as something to sell, nobody likes to buy it. Everybody hates insurance. They don't want to write that check,
Mhm.
especially if they've never had a claim. It's like money going out the window every time. You can get the same product from anybody else, but if you don't have the backup, you're going to lose it. Even if you didn't have the answer, tell them, hey, I didn't get a chance to find out.
Welcome to Small Strides, Big Business, the podcast for insurance agents who want to grow their business in a way that feels smart, sustainable, and authentic. On this podcast, we have honest conversations about better sales interactions, client service, automation, mindset, marketing, referrals, practical things that move your business forward in real life. Whether you're brand new or years into the game, so grab a notebook and let's dive into today's conversation. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Small Strides, Big Business podcast. My name's Krystal Small, and I have today Tad Nottage, all the way from Hawaii, joining us today. Thanks, Tad, for joining. I'm really excited to chat with you.
Thank you, Krystal.
Yeah, this is going to be fun. A little brief introduction about you, and then I'm going to pass it over and ask you to share a little bit about how you got into the insurance world. But you've been in insurance since 1990. Started your own Aloha Insurance, founded in 2000. You have grown from 2 employees to about 23, and you have grown to about $40 to $50 million in business a year. Is that all correct?
Yeah, that's correct.
That's amazing. So yeah, let me pass the mic over and just tell me a little bit about you. How did you get into insurance? And let's just start there.
Okay. Yeah, so I was born and raised in Hawaii, fifth generation in here. We came to Hawaii as whalers. And as such, I've been a fisherman all my life. Not whales, but regular fish. And yeah, out of college, I worked for a construction company, got in a bad car accident, drunk driver hit us. And so that put me out for a couple of years and went back. And I've always been an entrepreneur. I don't like to take orders. So, you have to, I guess, be at the point where people work for you. You're not working for other people.
Yeah, no
So I
punch in,
worked
punch
for
out.
a construction company, then I got in an accident, then I worked for a power tool company, sold power tools and building supplies. That was on Maui. I graduated college in 1978, and 2 weeks later, I moved to Maui, and 10 years after that, the Big Island was growing substantially at that time, and being a fisherman, I wanted to move over here, and so I convinced the owner to open a shop on Kona, where I'm at. That got me to the Big Island, and a very, very close friend of mine, a cousin of mine, he had been in insurance. His father had been in insurance from the 40s. He insured the whole tuna fleet in Honolulu.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so he was really into it, and when he retired, his son bought the book of business. We all worked for First Insurance Company over here. There were very few independent agencies at
Yeah.
that time, and so he convinced me that power tools was not as good as insurance, and so I interviewed with First Insurance, and probably because I was kinda legacy, I had the same last name.
Mhm.
They let me in, and that was in 1990. They had an insurance school at that time, and so I went to that and learned the basics in insurance, and, so I worked for them, and then in 19 I think it was 92, Hurricane Iniki hit Kauai, and First Insurance almost went bankrupt from that. They hadn't placed their reinsurance, and, yeah, so it was really hard. So a couple years later, they sent out a boss to each branch office around the state and sat us down and said, "Okay, we've decided to downsize, and you don't have a job anymore, but you can go ahead and start an agency and you could sell our products." And so my cousin, he was still in the business, and his partner is the manager of First Insurance Kona office, started a company called Insurance Resources. And neither of them were really into running businesses. They kind of liked, selling
Yeah.
and managing and not really having the responsibility of the business. And as a result, it started to fail. I was let's see, the other part of it is I got sober. I started working for First Insurance in 1990, and in 93, I got sober. Have remained that way ever since, and what that did to me is that lit my fire. And
Mm.
so I was really, really into it, and my cousin was on the mainland chasing his newest girlfriend, and the branch manager was not all there really. So I was the upcoming agent, and in 1989, or no, I'm sorry, 1999, I was really disgruntled, and so I was going to move to and start my own agency. And my cousin said, "Well, why don't you just buy my book of business and start your agency?" So I did that, and that's the way I got all of the appointments. Hawaii is a very closed culture. It's hard to, in
Yeah.
insurance in particular, you can't just go down there and say, "I want to be an agent. Please
Yeah.
appoint me." It doesn't work that way. So he enabled me to go and get appointments with the major carriers in Hawaii. And at that time, so in 2000, I started Aloha Insurance. And at that time, we were just selling property and casualty insurance. And my partner, he was into life insurance and group benefits, health insurance, and all of that. So we started a division selling health insurance and life insurance. That worked out really well because you can combine everything. You can get the property and casualty side, the health side, and you kind of want to limit other competitors to sneak in there.
Right.
We did that, and that worked out really well. 6, we had some disagreements, and I ended up buying him out. So, yeah, and yeah, that was 2006. I had to take on a couple partners, so some of the money came from a couple partners that I had who have since been bought out. They're not with me anymore. So that's basically started the journey. I guess when I was thinking about insurance as something to sell, nobody likes to buy it. Everybody hates insurance. They don't want to write that check,
Mhm.
especially if they've never had a claim. So it's like money going out the window every time. And so my goal was to at least make them happy with who they're dealing with. You
Mhm.
can get the same product from anybody else, but if you don't have the backup, you're gonna lose it.
Yeah.
Eventually, somebody else is gonna take it over, so that was very, very important, and it's our motto over here that you have to return your phone calls the same day. If you tell somebody you're gonna call them back at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, call them back. Even if you didn't have the answer, tell them, "Hey, I didn't get a chance to find out. So anyway, I'm letting you know." And I've found that in Hawaii, the basic answering your phone, not hiding behind emails or voicemails, and doing a good job leads to a very, very strong customer base.
Before you
Um,
move on, Tad, I just wanted to talk about that for just one second because that's something that I wrote down when we first met was that exact phrase that you just said to me. And here we are like a month later. So it's clearly ingrained in you, but something along the lines of people don't like to buy insurance, but they need to like dealing with you. And I think that that's one thing I took away from our initial conversation is that's how you've built your business is really on customer service.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
And the other thing, Hawaii is a very small market. And so you can't really, if you specialize in just one aspect of insurance, like commercial insurance, and not deal with the homeowner's insurance and the personal auto and all of that, you're leaving openings for other people to come in.
Mm.
And so we do everything here. We do your commercial lines, we do your personal lines. We're starting our health insurance again. I did when my main guy retired, I sold the book of business to somebody else, and that's not really working out. So we're going to start selling again. Yeah. And Hawaii is a prepaid health care where the employer has to pay for insurance for the employees.
Oh, really?
Uh-huh. So if they have a family or something, then we pay the individual premium and then they pay the family. But that's by law in Hawaii, you have to do that.
Wonderful. That's good
Um,
to know. So it seems, as you kind of have talked about
I don't know, 20-year span or whatever that you just went over, it seems like you've shifted a few times between partners and, bringing people in to help get you to that next level and then shifting your that's really key. I think a lot of people are nervous about, making change and it's necessary for growth. Thank you for sharing that. Is there, looking at your trajectory, because clearly you've been doing something right over the last few years. As you've grown, segmentally with adding products, but also adding employees, is there any kind of lessons learned that you could share with us as far as would you do something different or would you have done something quicker or bottlenecks that you had to work through over the years?
I think the first thing is your quality of employees. And nowadays, Hawaii is known as a laid back kind of sit under the coconut tree and play your ukulele and, don't worry about anything. And so that's kind of one of our advantages is answering the phone and doing all of that. People are kind of surprised that you do that. The challenge here, and I think probably around the United States, is bringing new people into the business. There's a very, very strong feeling of entitlement where they basically feel entitled to do whatever they want. What we've done is we've implemented a 90-day probationary period where we see if they're going to cut it. If after 90 days, we can after 90 days, you can see where they're at. And so we'll look at it and we'll decide at that time whether they're worth training. Insurance is kind of learning a different language too.
Yeah.
It's something where my cousin told me that when you get into it, he goes, after the first year, you're gonna think you know everything. And about maybe 6 months later, you're gonna suddenly realize you don't know anything, and that's where the growth starts. That's where you suddenly go, "Okay,
Yeah.
now I can grow." I think AI has lit a fire under that
Mm.
because you can go and you can rely on AI to give you basic answers, and you have to be careful because it does still hallucinate.
Yes.
But yeah, it's AI works really well.
So, Tad, but I do want to talk about AI. Before we go into that, though, can you give me some insight as to what you're looking for during that 90-day period with your employees? So, I have had a bunch of my guests want to hire people, and this is a common question or issue or concern or bottleneck that they're having is finding new good people and kind of vetting them. So
Mhm.
what does that 90 days look like? What are you looking for? What are you training them in during that time? What are the qualifications for them to kind of make it to the next round?
A lot of it is pretty basic. It's do they come in every day? If they're supposed to be here at 8 o'clock, are they here at 8 o'clock? Or are they here a little bit earlier? Do they call in sick on Mondays or Fridays? Very, very basic stuff. You can catch that right away. And then the personality side, you have to have a personality, and treating your employees or I'm sorry, your clients with respect and, with dignity. And that's been a challenge. A lot of people don't have the communication skills. You don't really see that in your interviews.
No.
You see that when they're going, and then their computer skills, and we move them up. We'll start them in processing where they'll be looking at renewals and they'll be making sure everything's checked properly, and then we'll move them up into a customer service position where they start talking to clients, and we'll watch that. We'll monitor that, and once they hit usually 2 months or so, you can pretty much tell,
You can
you know?
teach and educate them on the insurance products, but the personality, you're right.
Yeah, and it's
Yeah.
big. It's like back to the beginning where, we're competing with, 25, 30, 40, whatever other agencies. And going back to where you just answer your phone, and talk to them and, be personable, and they're going to like dealing with you. Yeah, it
Smart.
really
Smart.
does. It really, really does. Yeah, I mean, yeah, you can pretty much tell. 2 months, you can tell if they're gonna make it. Then they might need a couple, bumps here and there, and then at 90 days, it's pretty much, well, do we wanna give them another 90 or cut them loose?
Okay. Good to know. I think that also goes back to that comment you made in the beginning about your cousin not wanting to really be a business owner, right? When you're out there doing it yourself, you're just worried about you. But as a business owner, then, having those tough conversations with employees about how they're talking. And I mean, that's just a whole nother level that you don't have to deal with when you're not employing people. So that's a big part of it too, I'm sure.
Yeah, it really is. And fortunately, I've got a really, really tough, smart general manager,
Great.
and she doesn't take it. She doesn't have any issue with telling somebody what they need to hear.
Yeah. Awesome.
Whereas, I'm kind of more the salesman type where I don't really enjoy I don't think she enjoys it either. I think, she
She's
does it
good
a
at
lot better. Yeah, she's
it.
very good at it, keeping them in line, keeping them, moving forward. Yeah,
Surround yourself
that's
by good people.
exactly that. You're as good as your people too.
Yeah,
You really are.
very
Um,
true.
and
Awesome.
yeah, you really are.
All right, well, let's talk a little bit about AI because we were going down that route. That's a big shift that I think every business, whether you're in insurance or not, is going to embrace at some point, starting to embrace whether it's nerve-wracking or not. But you started with carbon copy paper. I remember you told me, and now we're talking about AI, right? So wow, what the shifts are. But yeah, so explain. I know that you went to a big conference. Share a
Mhm.
little bit about that. You went last year and then again this year. Give us your experience on what your take was between the 2
Okay.
years.
Okay, before I do that, I do wanna say, when I started in the industry, it was carbon paper in between 2 papers for every application, and we had a couple computers. Not everyone didn't have a PC at their desk. There were a couple computers, and they called them emulators, and the the program that we used was called PMS. It was shoot, I forget the acronym, but it was a green screen, and we'd get loss information and stuff, but it was very, very, very basic.
Really
So
cool at the time, I'm sure.
yeah, and so we went from carbon paper to carbonless paper. That was amazing. Then you don't have to save a sheet and put it in between. Did that, and then of course computers came in, and so you can do all the applications on your screen.
Yeah.
So yeah, I went to a conference. I had been hearing about AI, didn't really get it. And so I think it was 3 years ago, I went to the ITC, the InsurTech conference in Las Vegas, and pretty much everybody there was talking about AI, but I walked away from it, and I still was baffled. I still didn't really get it. And so we went back this year in October. I took my general manager and my sales manager. We went back to Las Vegas, and out of probably 300 booths, there were probably 200 of them were just AI. And they're all talking about, AI receptionist, AI CSRs, customer service reps, what they could do for your accounting. It was absolutely amazing. And what I got from there is AI itself, when you're dealing with one company, the way I understand it is they're like a portal to get into the AI. And so they have certain things, and another company
Mhm.
has different things, but in reality, they can all do the same. They all get into the AI. And yeah, it's absolutely amazing. Right now, we have one bot that works with our accounting a little bit,
Okay.
and it takes a bot, 1 minute to do something that takes 8 hours for an employee to do. And the way that it's going now, we're gonna be able to have it fill in applications completely. The industry uses what they call accord forms, and so they're standard to pretty much every agency except for the state farms and all states of the world. The independent agents pretty
Yeah.
much all use accord forms, and they're gonna be able to be filled out. The idea is you can pay before. The way I looked at it is you could pay somebody $20 an hour to type in data processing every day, all day long. And if you've got your customer service reps doing that, then you're not doing them a favor, and you're not doing the company a favor, because they're doing what somebody else could do for a lot less. So their expertise is more in speaking to people. And so it the way I look at it, it's not gonna eliminate anyone, it's going to enhance everyone.
It's exactly what I was just gonna say. A lot of people are really concerned about, having to fire employees or, uh, decrease, which there's opportunity to not have to hire somebody to do some little tasks. However, just like you said, we can utilize people in a different way that's more productive.
Yes, you
Yeah.
need to move them up, they move a step up,
Yep. Yep.
more towards the sales part of it.
Absolutely. Yeah. So what have you personally implemented? I know it's fairly new to you. If 2 years ago you just heard about it for the first time. Have you guys implemented anything in your business?
Yes, we have a bot doing the accounting right now, and then we can put a policy in there, and it will highlight everything in the policy that you need to know. That's very, very helpful. Also, I've personally have it write safety manuals and procedural manuals. So we insure a lot of boats, a lot of snorkel boats, and scuba diving and charter fishing and all of that. And so I've had AI write a safety manual with procedures, pre-boarding procedures, and then exiting interviews with them, where which helps us because it makes them more safe and it lets us know I had an example. I insure a few snorkel boats, and one of them, you have all these visitors coming over, they want to jump in the water, and you want to get a crew that's got personality, that can talk to the clients and make them happy. But there's a little bit of a challenge where, in this case, a woman wanted to jump off the top of the boat. It's a 3-story or 3-level snorkel boat, and the top floor, there's a guardrail around it that says no jumping. And so this girl went up and asked one of the crew members if she could jump off of there. And he kind of wanted to make her happy. I guess she probably was cute or something. And so he took her up to the top and he let her jump off. And so she proceeded to slip off the side and bounce down the side of the boat. Fortunately, it wasn't real bad, but that kind of stuff happens.
Yeah.
And so with that company in particular, we had a safety meeting, developed a whole safety manual. That's what started me doing that. And so basically it's, if you don't follow the procedures, you're out.
Yeah.
Even from the insurance standpoint, because they're, risk management. You don't want
Right.
somebody who's not safe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Or
creating that manual before the use of AI could have taken, I mean, honestly, weeks, if not longer, right? Because of all of the research and the editing and the back and
Yeah,
forth.
it's crazy. And then I was talking to somebody yesterday, and I'll go in and I'll type in what I want, and then AI will go and find it and put it together.
Yeah.
I was talking to a guy yesterday, and he said what he does is he goes in and he says, "Okay, I want to do this. What are the questions I should ask you?" So he actually asks AI what to ask AI,
Yeah. Yes,
you know?
absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, and, there's a lot of things you don't think of
Mhm.
that AI does. Then again, you've gotta really be careful because AI does tend to hallucinate.
Yeah.
I've used it for getting different codes, like liability codes. So you could put in what's the general liability code for a framing carpenter. It'll show you the code, but the first few times that I did it, it showed me the work comp code instead of the general liability code.
A
So
double
I
check.
went back and said, "I think you've got it wrong." And AI comes back, says, "Oh yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
The code should be this." So you have to be really careful about what it spits out. But
Yeah.
it's getting better and better and better as we go. I had a demonstration a couple weeks ago for a receptionist for an answering service. And the guy set it up and he used the dialect of Hawaii, not pidgin English. It's a special kind of way of talking. And it was amazing. Somebody will call in and say, "Okay, I'm looking for general liability. And I'm a carpenter, subcontractor." And so AI, the receptionist, will say, "Okay, great. What's your business name?" It'll get all the data. Eventually, all of that will be transferred onto an Accord form right away, where a human can look at it and confirm that everything's right.
Yeah.
It saves all that time right there.
It's
Yeah.
incredible.
The one thing though, I've always been kind of against having a recorded answering service. We've always had a receptionist up front,
Mhm.
the human voice, Aloha Insurance. How can I help you? Is better than a AI voice. But the way I'm looking at it is we'd preface it, hi, this is Diane. I'm Tad's assistant.
Yeah.
I'm Tad's personal virtual assistant. What do you need? So if you preface it with that, I don't think it'll be objectionable.
Yeah, transparency is big. Absolutely, I think so. Especially when your whole business is really built off of your customer service and your
All
relationships with your clients.
relationships.
I think that what I've found in my own insurance business is when I'm able to automate things, my personal touches on my clients are 10 times what they were before AI and before my automation. Like birthday messages and checking in for new hires and terminations and all that stuff that normally takes a long time. When you automate that kind of stuff, people don't necessarily feel like, "Oh, I'm getting a email from a bot or whatnot." They think Crystal's really on top of it, and, "Oh, that's so sweet. She thought of my birthday." There's such a benefit, and you can still have a personal touch when you're automating things and implementing AI if you do it correctly. I think it's like everything. You can do it wrong and you can do it right. And it's
Mhm.
still evolving for sure, but yeah, awesome. Well, Ted, I really appreciate your time. I know that you have a special niche out there in Hawaii, but I'd love for you to share with us how people can get a hold of you, or if they're on the island or they know of someone on the island, how they might be able to contact you guys.
All right. Well, alohainsurance.com
Okay.
is our website. And, we're right in Kailua Kona. We do a lot of secondary homes for people. There's a lot of very, very high net worth resorts around here. And, we can do everything with that, their homeowners insurance, their auto, everything. Yeah, you can get a hold of us. Got my phone number?
No, that's all. Well, your website's good.
The website should have everything, and we'll contact you as
Awesome.
soon as you ask for it.
Wonderful. I can throw the business number in the podcast. We don't need to give out your cell.
Yeah, exactly.
Awesome. Well, thank you again, Tad. This has been great. And I really appreciate your knowledge, and your growth is tremendous. So, the little tidbits that you gave us today hopefully will help somebody as they're growing in their business too.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks a lot. This has been fun.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Thank you for spending time with me today on Small Strides, Big Business. I hope this conversation gave you some clarity, confidence, or one new idea to move your agency forward. If you enjoyed today's episode, make sure to follow or subscribe and share it with another agent who could benefit. I'm Krystal Small, and remember, every small stride you take today builds the foundation for long-term confidence, stability, and growth in your business.